What is up, guys? This is Ethan Cardoso coming at you today with the True North Art Podcast, coming in hot to interview the venerable and amazing Gabriel Baleka. How have you been, man?
Well, thank you, Ethan. I don't know if venerable is the right word, but of all the podcasts I could have been on, I chose this one specifically because, like you said, we're good friends, and, well, this podcast just has a level of prestige about it that not a lot of others have.
That's great to hear, Gabe. So let's just get right into the action. The first thing that I want to get clear with you right now is, what's like a big source of inspiration for you in your work?
All right. So let me start off by saying when I was little, I used to read these really horrible books called Beast Quest, and they were all like exactly the same. But what always piqued my interest about them was the creature designs, because each new book would have a new monster that the hero would have to fight. And I think that inspired me as a kid to start drawing all these like weird monsters that look horrible, but for the time they were pretty good to me. Now, as on the verge of becoming an adult, I look back on those and I think, wow, like I would really like to channel that kind of same creative energy. Since my interests haven't really changed, I'm still huge into creature design and monsters and playing with the aspects of fear. I decided to go back and redraw some of the old designs that I had. And through that, it kind of evolved into, like I was saying, this exploration of fear and what we see as monstrous.
That's actually really cool. So you're saying that this has been something that's interested you more or less your whole life? Like a lifelong pursuit on this?
Yeah, I'd say as I grew older, Beast Quest evolved into more YA novels, and that kind of evolved into books that I'm reading now. Like even books that I'm reading for school, like Dante's Inferno. When I read the descriptions of the demons, I always get super into it. I start drawing little sketches of them in the book. It's just something that's kind of stuck with me my whole life, and expressing that through AP art and building a portfolio has been a real blessing.
Yeah, that's really cool because you can really get into how exactly you've progressed through your work throughout the years and how long you've been working on this. One other thing about your style that I want to get into is there anybody who you also take inspiration from? Like, is there any sort of artistic style that you try and go after in your art?
Well, I'm very fascinated by the work of H.R. Giger. I think Giger's, the way he plays with mechanical and biological parts is extremely interesting, and I really love it. One of my pieces, actually, I tried working in his style. It's called Annihilation Cradle, and I used the more mechanical aspects and kind of tried to build a fusion that he captures so well between the biological and the mechanical. I'd say another person whose work I'm greatly influenced by is not really an artist per se, but is H.P. Lovecraft. The way that his writing can describe so much with so few descriptives is just fascinating to me. And I love drawing based off of the descriptions that he gives in his books of things that have maybe hundreds of eyes and hundreds of mouths, or appendages in areas that we can't really understand, or details that we can't fathom. Trying to express that through the visual arts is something that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I see that a lot in your work, trying to sort of name the unnameable and the unknowable, trying to depict something that doesn't really make sense and can't easily be depicted. And I think that just speaks to your level of skill and ability in just being able to imagine these sorts of things, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Is there any sort of mythological sort of inspiration as well? I'm sorry, I'm asking you a lot about your inspirations here.
Oh no, it's fine. I have a lot of inspirations, and I could go on talking about them for a long time. But it's funny that you mentioned mythological. I was raised on learning a lot about Greek and Roman and even Egyptian and Norse myth. I would have them read to me by my dad a lot, because my dad is very into that kind of those ancient cultures and how they viewed the world, and learning about the gods of Olympus and the monsters that the ancient Greek heroes would fight, like the Hydra, the Nemean lion, the Argonauts. going on this epic voyage, Scylla and Charybdis, and the choice Odysseus had to make between the two. And then moving on from that to Egyptian mythology, how Osiris was betrayed and how when he was put back together, he went to the underworld and became its ruler. All of it is just so interesting to me. How these ancient cultures saw the world and the things that they imagined went on to make the world go round and to make all of these things that they didn't understand happen is just fascinating.
Yeah, you're clearly very knowledgeable on the subject, and I'm glad that you have this passion for it. But in your pieces, have you ever tried to depict some of these ancient mythological monsters and deities?
Well, not really as much taking them from mythology and putting them into my art. I tend to use them as inspiration and the idea of them as inspiration. That there are these forces that we can't really understand that are manipulating the world around us and causing all these things to happen. I tend to enjoy suspense and injecting the unknown into my work. Because, like I said, I've been exploring the idea of fear, and one thing that permeates all of us and is something that all of us can kind of get behind and understand is the fear of the unknown. When you hear or when you see something that you can't